Technology is the most powerful change in the world of education.
Everything changes.
Welcome to the Emerging Technologies in Education podcast, delivered to you by Clever Books Company. Hey listeners, thank you for joining this podcast on Emerging Technologies in Education. Today we have a guest, Miriam, and I want to give her the word to introduce herself and tell which country she's from and what she's doing. Here you go, Miriam.
My name is Miriam and I'm from Ireland. I'm from Cork in Ireland and I work in further education. So I teach young adults and I teach digital media, and I also create instructional videos for One Small Clip, which can be found on Twitter, and offer training for teachers through our local Apple Regional Training Centre.
Oh, this is brilliant. So we're here straight away into the technology in education. Perfect. So I would assume you are positive about using technology for educational purposes, right?
Yeah, so we use technology in class all the time. And my class have one-to-one iPads as well as computers to do everything they need to do in the classes.
Oh, that's brilliant. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Why would you have a positive attitude towards using technology in education? What is it for you, maybe as an educator?
So I've seen the difference technology has made in my classroom. Back when I started 7 years ago, my classes were very much theory-based. So you would talk about doing something and you wouldn't have very much chance to do what you were talking about. I would give handouts and just talk through the process. But now with the mobile devices in particular, the students are much more engaged. We can talk about creating videos and then create videos. And so it works. I've seen students are more engaged. They become authors and directors, filmmakers and designers, and they show up to class and they always leave with some example of what they've learned that day. Reaction to technology in education is definitely positive. I've seen the difference that technology has made to my own classroom. So back when I started teaching 7 years ago, my classes were very much theory-based. I would talk to something. I would talk about a topic and give them notes, and they wouldn't really have first-hand experience with creating the media. But now with mobile devices in particular, what we can do is talk about a topic like digital books, and then the students can go off and create the digital book. Same with augmented and virtual reality, or if they want to go off and create a video, we can actually talk about it and then they can go and do it. So they leave their classrooms with examples. They become authors and directors, filmmakers and designers just because of having the technology in their hands.
This is impressive. Like, I really like, this is like, the close to the root of where the technology can be used in the education and applied. And I really like your examples. Can you maybe then elaborate a little bit more which technology, in your point of view, like any that you can imagine, starting from smart boards, VR, AR, or libraries, could be useful for the classroom? Maybe you can give examples from your own practice, like what you use and for which purposes, and how you see as a benefit of using it.
Yeah, so for me, I'm really lucky. My students have one-to-one iPads as well as computers, and they're a must. They have totally transformed what we do. My big areas, my new kind of areas that I've started to focus in on are coding as well as augmented and virtual reality. With coding, students can become computational thinkers and problem solvers. They can become more creative in what they do. So this past week, we were coding light shows with the Spheros and the iPads. They're also finding their way around mazes. They're also creating apps. I'm a strong believer in everyone can code, and I'm seeing this through the students. They may not know where to start, but when they're shown what to do, they can then find their own research, figure out how they can code and how it will work for them. I've also been using virtual and augmented reality in my classroom for the last few years. This has really excelled in the last year, and especially since the introduction of the ARKit apps in the last couple of months. So there's a whole world outside of the classroom for students, and with VR, students can visit countries. We're doing kind of virtual videos right now where they go through 360 images. They visit a country, and then they make a video on that country that they've been to. But they don't actually have to leave the classroom. It's all through the virtual reality apps. And same with augmented reality, it's kind of just brought everything a bit closer and made everything more accessible for them.
That's really impressive. And would you recommend any specific apps that you're using, for example, for creating videos or any augmented or virtual reality apps?
So my big video one right now, it's a new one, it's Clips. So everybody loves Clips. I came from a video background where students might create one or two videos a term, and with Clips on their iPads, they're creating a video every single day. So every single class, they are showing me how they have learned through Clips. Just because it's so simple, there's no real learning. Once they make their first video, they know how to use it. And then for ThingLink and AOR, we actually use ThingLink. So we do virtual field trips through ThingLink. I've done one of our local city, so I've got a 360 virtual reality Cork done, and the students use the same app then to create their own city. So we have a lot of students from other countries, and they really like creating their own home country in virtual reality. So they like finding images and finding information and just doing 360 field trips to their home countries that they can show all the other students. And it's really exciting to see where they came from and learn about all the different cultures as well.
This is really cool. So I love the way you implement that. It's like literally traveling the world and getting to know other cultures and through the video and through the virtual reality and all that things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing really stopping them, and it gets them really into us. We haven't really done augmented reality yet this year. That's the next topic that we're going into. But I have examples of how it's used, in particular in medicine and science, and things like the IKEA AR app that we will be looking at, and then hopefully they'll go on and create their own projects. Apps like GeoGebra, AR, and some of the new AR kit apps that have only just come out are the ones that we'll be looking at examples of what other people have done, and then they'll go through and hopefully create some different projects. Last year I had a student create an AR project where she taught the young kids how to know different colors and different numbers by making them pop up out of the page, and she actually put them all in a digital book at the end of it, which was really interesting to see.
That sounds impressive. So, like, and we're coming to one more question that I have to you. Like, you obviously are the example of the educator that actually embraces and uses technology in the classroom. And there are out there some other teachers that might be not confident or might have fear or might have feeling that is outside of their comfort zone to use technology in education. Why would you think they will not implement this in their classroom? And what could be the reasons? And what would be your advice to those teachers?
I think fear is probably the biggest thing. The fear of change. Nobody wants to learn something new or try something new, especially if it's totally different to what they have been doing for the last maybe even 20, 25, 30 years. They've learned how to write on a blackboard, then a whiteboard, then an interactive whiteboard, and then you have devices. And some people don't want to change. They don't want to embrace technology. They just want to do things the way they know it works. But you're kind of missing out. You're missing out on all the things like the worldwide field trips that my students get to go on. And for them, it's just a matter of basically leadership in their schools. Have one or two teachers doing it and then showing the rest what can be done. We have a lot of teachers coming to us for professional development courses in our training center, which is really, really good to see. We have had over 300 teachers in the last year come to us just to learn something new. So they come to learn coding or AR or VR or even just marking assessments digitally or creating digital portfolios. And that kind of gives me hope that people do want to change. They just don't know where to start, and hopefully we can be the place where they learn us, and then they spread the word about everything that can be done, and things will begin to change. I don't think anybody ever totally doesn't want to change. It's just there's different barriers, and sometimes that could be something simple like an internet connection, or maybe there's no money for devices in the school. But usually if people really, really want to do it and they're interested in changing, they can find their own way to get through it.
That's interesting. And I want to take an opportunity, as we have listeners all over the world. And I like to use the opportunity when you're talking like directly to somebody who is using that in the classroom, and can give an insight on a particular country. So as you're from Ireland, maybe you can share with us what's the general your perception, obviously, on how the technology is used generally in Ireland in classrooms, and how do you see that developing in the future, in your point of view?
I think it's come a long way, especially in the last couple of years. There are schools that don't have any technology. When I was in school, I didn't do computers at all. I didn't do, even in college, I didn't do any computers, and it's changed. Like I mentioned earlier, in my first year, I was giving presentations and handing out notes, and in just like 7 years, it has changed massively. I think the perception is changing within the country, that people do want to change, and they do want to learn, and they do want to embrace the new technologies that they're being seen using elsewhere. I'm really lucky that I'm part of the Apple Distinguished Educator community, which is a global community of educators, so I can see what people are doing in Dubai or America or Australia, and I can learn from them. And I think sometimes being part of a community like that helps you move forward. So teachers kind of just need to find their own connections and move forward. And it's happening. We're seeing teachers coming to us that want to move forward. So I think change is happening here. I don't know about other countries. I know there are some that are definitely more advanced to us, but you've got to start somewhere. And I think teachers here are beginning to start to change.
This is brilliant. And I like, because I'm talking to many people around the world, and I like to also to confirm your words that definitely in many countries there is a lot of change, and people are trying to get more involved in technology and see more benefit in the classroom. And there is a lot more change going on, like in UK, in Emirates, and also in Ireland, which I'm happy to hear as well. So then, thank you very much, Miriam, for your time. Thank you a lot for the thoughts.
Okay.
And yeah, I really appreciate that. And I wish you a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everything changes.